What's up, everybody? Where you at? Where you at?
On that side.
What's up, everybody? It is C2E2 weekend here in Chicago, and clearly we just got off the bus. We just got here.
Yep.
And this is our third year in C2E2, right? Third time in C2E2. We're excited this time. We got a fun event planned this time. This one's gonna be interview. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
We got invited to interview the one and only co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman himself. I'm so excited. This is a childhood dream.
I know.
I cannot believe it. Can't wait to sit down and talk to him. But first, we got to get in there. Sarah left her badge.
Dario's 40. Next
Wow. Let's get the hell inside. Let's go. C2E2 fixed the problem. Now, now we're about to go up and we're about to talk to Kevin Eastman, the co-creator of.
Isn't that wild?
It's out of control. I can't even believe it, man. Let's get up inside. Let's go.
The one we put together first was Michelangelo before his name Michelangelo. That was the first turtle drawn, turtle standing upright, mask on, nunchuck strapped to his arms, and that's what inspired Pete to do a drawing, change some things, and then I did a pencil drawing of 4, all with different weapons, and had this comic logo that said Ninja Turtles. And when Pete inked it in, he added Teenage Mutant, and that's where we arrived at the 4 characters. And then that was November of '84, and then November of '83, and then we started working on the series through the rest of '83 into '84.
You're aging yourself now.
Oh, I'm 60. No, Turtle's going to be 40 years old next year, so I'm, age is just a number.
Sorry, I didn't.
Oh no, go ahead. So what we'll do is you ask another question. We'll just keep going around so
Yeah,
everybody gets
my last one.
Oh, no worries.
My last one, just to kind of clarify on some of the myth that there's a connection to Daredevil, and that you guys had created, obviously Splinter based a stick, there was the Foot Clan and the hand. How did that come about?
That was my idea, in that when I grew up, I was a huge fan of Daredevil, and as kind of comic characters I really gravitated towards were the more grounded ones, if you will. So it was like Batman, Daredevil, Captain America, and stuff. And Daredevil in particular was one of my all-time favorites. So with the Daredevil origin, when they set up how young Matt Murdock saved a blind person walking into a street as a truck carrying nuclear waste was barreling through the streets of New York, as they often do. And the truck put on its brakes, the canister came loose and struck him near the eyes. And they never said, what's that?
Dripped into the sewer.
Well, they never said, in the Daredevil origin, they never said what happened to the canister afterwards. So I just had to continue bouncing down the street, and this poor young man was standing next to a open sewer cover holding a glass terrarium with 4 turtles in it.
All right.
Canister hits that, smashes.
Okay, so I've been loving Last Ronin.
Thank you.
And you've introduced, like in the Last Ronin 2, you've introduced the new Turtles. Is there, like after this series is done, you can try to keep going with them, or anything?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It was something that we didn't intend to initially, based on the original idea that Pete and I wrote for Last Ronin in 1987, and when Tom and I adapted it and expanded it, and what became the graphic novel that came out last year, the series and the graphic novel that came out, as we started getting into issue 1, we fell in love with the Ronin-verse, we call it, rather quickly, and so we had this idea of continuing to have adventures in, every character has a multiverse these days. In fact, even it's been existed long before the Turtles, and back in the day we had Turtles black and white comics as one universe. We had the animated series as another universe, the cartoons and the movies, which are almost a separate universe. So as part of the multiverse of the Turtles, we wanted to keep going and tell stories in that area. And so we came up with this idea to create more turtles, 4 new turtles, 2 males, 2 females. And right now we just finished writing what will be called Re-Evolution when it comes out, but it'll be Last Ronin Part 2. So it'll come out later this year.
Awesome.
So, yeah, super fun. Thanks. Yeah, so right now we're doing, Lost Years, which is, and Lost Years was the it's a really fun series that covers within that Roninverse the period where Michelangelo goes to Japan in issue 4, finds out what happened to Splinter and Donatello, just starts walking, and it's a 16-year journey which brings him back to last Ronin issue 1, and so that's the Lost Years. So that's the sort of the prequel part of Lost Years, and the sequel part of Lost Years is because each issue takes place 3 years apart. So we're seeing the new Turtles at age 3 in issue 1, age 6 in issue 2, age 9. And so by the time we get to issue 5, they'll be 15 years old, and that'll take us right into Last Ronin 2.
Oh, perfect.
So
That's exciting.
it's very exciting. We're having a really, really good time. And that's, the greatest part I like about working with the team I have, Tom Waltz in particular, it's all story first. And we took about 6 months, 7 months just to make sure we saw the story we like for that one. So hope you like it.
Oh, I'm loving it so far.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's the lesser known Picasso turtle, kind of the deranged cousin that we never. No, there's. No, what was really fun about the early development of the Turtles is one of the first licenses we did before any cartoons or any toys was he did the role-playing game, which was in 1985. And the coolest part about the role-playing game is we needed to develop all kinds of characters for the gameplay. So there was all kinds of different mutants, everything from Bebop and Rocksteady in the earliest stages to a lot of other characters that and then populated the ongoing Turtle series, as well as some of the cartoon shows and things like that. And there were a couple in there that I really liked that we never got to explore. And I think the main one was mainly because we thought we'd get our butt suit off was in the first role-playing game we had a cast of characters called the Terror Bears, which is basically the Care Bears, but with little horror images on their chest. So we never pursued that one, but I thought that would be a fun one. So it's still in the game. I know it's. Thank you. Yes, sir.
First off, 9-year-old me wants to thank you
Yep.
for your creation.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously, it meant the world. It was the last toy that I got into as a child. So it went from Transformers to Turtles, and that was it. So
Thank you.
my parents, they don't want to thank you because they had to buy every toy for me. So they're still a little bit upset with you. C2E2, I'm talking with my friends, and of course, Turtles come up in the hotel room as we're having a few beers.
Mhm.
We're talking about like the new Rogan movie coming out. And we're like, we're excited for it, but like, man, that's for the kids. Like, what about us adults? And so we're like, man, is there any plans for like like the Last Ronin, either live action or animated? Or like, man, Netflix, I would love to see this adapted. Like, it's a great story, and I know like if the story's good enough, it's going to sell the books too.
Sure.
I mean, you look at what's happened with The Boys, and it's just like that's
phenomenal series. Yeah.
James Gunn can mention any movie that he's making, and then all of a sudden they sell out of the trade paperback. So, I mean, I think that it would be fantastic to see it live action or animated.
Thank you. No, it's funny and it comes up a lot, especially a lot of the fans that come through my line are around your age that grew up on the Turtles. So I make sure to say thank you. I say thank you, and then if your parents are still with us, thank them, because back in the early days of doing signings, there would be the 8 or 9-year-old you and a very disgruntled parent behind there going, you know how much money I spent on those stupid Ninja Turtles, or spent a Christmas Eve trying to put together the sewer playset, or keep that blimp inflated. Terrible. Or stepped on Leonardo's sword on the way to the restroom. I knew in the middle of it. But no, so thank them, please, and thank you. And it was just interesting that just last Friday they announced that Last Ronin video game that they've been working on and developing. A full-on console game. Probably yeah. So they've been talking about they really fell in love with Last Ronin, and again embracing the multiverse of Turtles. Like Seth Rogen's been working for almost 3 years now on his younger version of the Turtles, which looks really funny, by the way. I've not seen much of it, and I'm excited to sit in the theater and see it for the first time. But it looks great. But they didn't want to, as they sort of put everything into that concept, they didn't want to confuse it and start something with Last Ronin too, because it's pretty edgy. So I think they felt the best way to move forward with it was as a game and embrace the fan base that way. So
We're gonna keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
hopefully it'll still. I get Robert Rodriguez or somebody to do it. But thank you. It's great. Yes.
When doing crossover series such as like the one with Batman, Power Rangers and stuff, like how much input do you actually have? And also, what crossover would you like to do that hasn't been done yet?
Great question. And some of it's more and some of it's less. And for example, when Tom and I worked on the Ghostbuster Turtle crossover, we were more involved in that. Was huge Ghostbuster fan. It was really fun. With the Batman series, I'd actually pitched DC. I have a childhood. Somebody's at my door.
Hey, I just got the same notification. That's crazy.
Do you live with me?
Apparently, I guess.
That's too funny. With the Batman Turtle crossover, I'd actually pitched another idea to them. I like this character, DC Jack Kirby character named Commandy. And they said, well, nobody knows what Commandy is. Why don't you do Turtles Batman? And we didn't know that was on the table, And they brought in the most incredible James Tinian, who wrote it. And he's such a fantastic writer. I don't know if you read Something is Killing the Children. And he's just mind-blowing. He just did a fantastic series. And my good friend Freddie Williams was the artist that brought it the series. And they did such a great job. It was, they did 3 series, but that was one of those big fan moments for me is I got to do the variant covers, and I didn't have any input on it. It was, it's James Tinian. I was like, he's you got it, bro. And and when I was doing the cover with Turtles and Batman on the same cover, and I'm thinking they're not even going to print this. This is not really going to. But it was what a joy. And so to answer your last question is Daredevil Turtles would be the ultimate crossover.
Makes a lot of sense.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
With Venus making her comic book appearance last year, why was that important at that time?
It was, it's something that when I worked on the original live action series that introduced the original Venus back in '97, it was an idea that started as adding a 5th turtle named Kirby in a 4th live action New Line movie that then was dropped. And then we started developing a new TV series, and it was still this 5th turtle that was sort of washed further down the sewer and that stuff, and developed that. And then at the last minute, Margaret Lesh, who was head of programming, decided to change it to, she wanted to change it to female turtle, which, huge Ripley, Sarah Connor, I love strong female characters, and so it was like, yeah, that'd be great. Peter wasn't as keen on it, so he sort of stepped away, and I worked on that series. It wasn't a huge hit with the fans, but I really liked the series. When Tom and I got into the comic book series, around the time we got to issue 50, one of the ideas that we kept coming back to is we wanted to add a female turtle to the mix. So when we introduced Jenica in issue 51, she then became, not intentionally at first, but then became a catalyst in the character that we were able to evolve into becoming Jenica in issue 95. And then Sophie Campbell, who's just a wonderful writer, an important part of the turtle history, she always loved Venus, and so she wanted to bring it back in this way that was important to the storyline as almost like a Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas sort of creation by this kind of maniacal doctor. And so it was a neat, interesting version, and she's going to be coming back in a bunch. So, but I'm really thrilled that she found the right story to bring that character back in the way she did.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello, neighbor.
I think we
roommates, yeah.
We both got a pizza delivered at the same time. So.
First of all, again, thank you for I don't know a life. I'll be 40 next year also, so I don't know a life without Ninja Turtles. So, so this is actually really dope for me.
Thank you.
2 questions. First question is, you talked about the video games. I want to know who made this game and why did they make it so hard?
It was one of those things that I've never, to this day, I've never beat it.
And,
but it was in the early day when this first came out. Like people would literally come up to us at Pete and I at a convention and go, why did you make this game so hard?
Yeah.
And we're like, can't even run my VCR. But no, it was kind of a strange thing, and that was one of the first evolutions of that console, the PS1, that whole console system, where so much you couldn't stop and save the game at any point.
Right.
You had to start at the beginning every time, and it was like, I was so grateful when they finally came out with the arcade game, because then you could, something I could play, but then you could also play with 3 of your other friends, which was great. But they kind of, the evolution with like Turtles in Time and some of the other games that they came after was great. But man, that was
It's a pain in the ass.
it was a pain.
Yeah.
It was a huge.
I'm
pain in
glad
the
I
ass.
could personally tell you that.
No, it's funny. They just last year they came out with they call it the Cowabunga Collection, which is all the games and all the versions. And that was one of the things that the developers, when I talked to them, they said that they made it. This version is updated and it's got a save feature.
Good. Good.
That's really fun. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, that's legendary. That's
Crazy.
legendary.
That's crazy.
I cannot believe we met Kevin Eastman, co-creator to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's wild.
Like, that's a childhood dream.
How
Y'all,
do you feel?
hey, I feel good. I feel really good. I got to ask him about that damn game that gave everybody fits. And it's dope to hear about the stuff that he got going on with it, man, and how it's changed. So excited to be here and have that opportunity. Thank you, C2E2, and all Kevin's people. But we about to go enjoy the rest of C2E2. Day 2 here. Y'all go ahead and watch the B-roll and stuff like that. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all later.